Hello and welcome to EBANQ, the most user-friendly white label banking software in the world. In this video tutorial, we will demonstrate our multi-language module and how you as the administrator can set it up and use it. The multi-language module allows the end users to navigate their web and mobile applications in the language other than English. Currently, there are 5 languages available in the system: Simplified Chinese, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. The module enables translating only the end user's interface. The bank administrator's interface remains in English only, and this cannot be modified. Let's have a look at your system and how it changes once the multilanguage module is enabled. An additional multilingual permission set will appear in the administrator classes for the first bank admin, who can then grant these privileges to other administrator classes. To view this, go to Settings, Administrator Classes tab, and click on an administrator class. Scroll to the bottom, and here you will see the new multilingual set. The permissions allow the administrator to view and modify Translations Manager, as well as to set the default language. If you need to learn how to create a new administrator class, please watch our video on the creation of the administrator classes. An additional Translation Manager tab will appear in the administrator's web interface in the Settings, Customization, Translations Manager. We will provide more information on how to work with the Translations Manager later in this video. An additional flag panel that contains the icons of all languages available at the moment in EBANQ will appear near every editable field or phrase in Settings for the administrators who have been granted the permission to view and modify the Translations Manager. For example, if we click on the Requests and OTP tab, here you will see that this text is translatable into all of these languages. There are also changes available in the News section. A new language control section appears at the bottom of the Create Article and Edit Article forms for the administrators who have been granted permission to create and modify new articles. We will provide more details about this in a separate video. Let's have a look now at what will you as the administrator be able to do with a multi-language module. But first, let's understand the distinction between the static and editable texts. All static elements, such as buttons, menu items, textual elements, headers, are translated automatically by the multi-language module as soon as you enable a language other than English and save the setting. Please note that as the new features are released in the EBANQ, the translation will cover these new features at no additional cost. Editable texts, for example in Settings, Requests and OTP, and the SMS for the OTP, are the texts that are managed by the administrators that allow them to customize the information shown to or received by the users. Most of our clients adapt these phrases to suit their particular needs, therefore the translation for these texts need to be managed by your organization. We recommend that the translated versions for the editable texts are enabled before making a new language available to the end users and before the setting for the default language is enabled. Let's see where else you can find the editable texts in the EBANQ. In OTP, in your profile also, auto logout message, message after the auto logout, account, incoming wire transfer instructions, and others. More details about this will be sent to you in a guide as soon as the multi-language module is enabled in your system. Now that you understand the difference between the static and the editable texts and know where to find them, let's see how to manage the translations. We mentioned earlier that the administrators need to have the appropriate permissions in order to view and translate editable phrases from the list. The required permission is View Modify Translations Manager. Let's go to the Profile, Administrator Classes, and open an Administrator class. The setting is available at the bottom of the list. Please note that to enable this setting, you also need the View Modify settings enabled. If it's disabled, you won't be able to enable it. So let's enable these and save. All translations of editable phrases can be viewed or modified via the Translations Manager, which is available in Settings, Customization, Translations Manager. Another way to get to the Translations Manager is, for example, through here, find a text that needs to be edited and click on the language. And here you are in the Translations Manager tab. As you can see, the Translations Manager is organized into two main columns and a language pair selector. In the language pair selector, the flag on the left denotes the original language, which is English in the EBANQ system, and the flag on the right denotes the target language, which can be selected by clicking on the target language and choosing any language that you require from the list. When a target language is selected, the phrases added in column 2, like here, will be associated with this language. Column 1 contains the list of all the original editable text that presently exist in EBANQ, organized into sections with section headers that correspond with where they're found in settings. Column 2 contains a list of fields corresponding to the phrases from column 1 that need to be translated into the target language. When the module is first activated, these contain the English phrases. What you need to do now is select the target language using the pair selector. For example, you want it to be in Spanish. Prepare the translations for the phrases in column 1, inputting them in the corresponding field in the column 2, overwriting the English phrases. Once you have done this, click on Save Translations. Once again, we want to stress the importance of updating the phrases in column 2 with your translations and saving them before publishing your desired language in the system. Now that you've done this, let's have a look at how to configure the default language for the end users. The required permission is Set Default Language, which is under the Control View settings. Let's go back to the Settings, Profile, Administrator Classes, scroll down to the Multilingual and see that Set Default Language permission is enabled for this administrator. To change the default language now, navigate to Settings, System Configuration, Modules, Multilingual, and change to the desired language, for example, Spanish. Save changes before quitting. After saving the changes, the view for all registered end users in the web and mobile applications will show in the configured default language. Let's have a look, for example, at the end user's interface. And you can see that it's in Spanish language. Let's have a look at the end user's interface now. You can see that it's in the default language, which is Spanish. The greeting, all the menu items, all the information regarding the accounts, cards, transactions, transfers, and instructions to create new transfers, necessary reports and extraction of reports, news. Please note that the messages that were sent to the clients and the news that were published before the multilingual module was enabled are not translated. The translations for these will be available only for the new messages and articles published by the bank administrator. Here's also the profile page, and the logout page. One last thing that we need to mention is the module is not available in EBANQ by default. You will need to send us an email provided in the description of this video to learn more about the pricing, list of supported languages, and deployment. Thank you for watching this video tutorial and stay tuned for more on our EBANQ channel.